What's up, gamers? Welcome to episode 20 of the Busted Buttons video game podcast. I didn't think we'd make it to 2, much less 20, so I'm pretty excited here.
I had more confidence that we'd make it to 2, but 20, I don't know about 20.
But so today we're going to spend some time. Hick recently finished up The Last of Us Part 2. We're still staying away from spoilers for people who haven't finished it, but he's going to spend a little bit of time talking about things he liked, things he didn't like, stuff that. Going along with the ending, we're going to talk about how the endings of some video games are just way too damn long. Then we're also going to talk about kind of an interesting mechanic in games. That's like subtitles in cutscenes. How do you feel about them? Do you like them? Do you dislike them? Do you use them? We'll spend some time talking about that. And we're also going to bring up a topic that we meant to talk about last week but ran out of time for, and that's the live-action Halo TV show. We're both huge Halo fans, and so we'll spend a few minutes talking about the upcoming live-action TV show. We'll talk a little bit about Sony's recent investment of $250 million in Epic, which is an interesting partnership. They've worked together for a long time, and now it's a new investment, so we'll talk about where we think that might take us. Then we're gonna spend a little bit of time talking about someone who spent their entire university savings on loot boxes for FIFA, and we've ripped on loot boxes a few times in this podcast, and this was an interesting story.
This guy's an idiot, man. This guy's a straight up idiot, if you ask me. But we'll go in a little bit, but not too hard.
Yeah, and then actually, if we have time, we're going to spend some time talking about another one of the more ugly sides of gaming, and that's when fans kind of just take things a little too far, a little too personally, and start attacking, whether it's verbally or online, creators. Specifically, we're spending some time talking about one of the voice actors on The Last of Us Part 2, who's been the target of a bit of a harassment campaign since that game came out. But before we get into those topics, I do have to give us a pat on the back, because we recorded our last episode before the news came out about Ubisoft's NBA 2K was going to cost $70 on the next-gen consoles, and that has led to rampant speculation that all games on next-gen, or most at least, are going to be $70. I got to give us a big over the internet high five here, because we recorded that before that news broke. We were both on board with a little bit of a price hike to kind of keep up with the ever increasing development prices. So Hick, good job for us.
Yeah, man, we nailed that one. I don't know. I definitely didn't say 70. I said 80, which going back, that was probably a little bit too high, but
might be a little high.
I don't think 5. What difference does 5 make? 5's just really not that much more money. So, good for them. I agree with it. I think it should happen. Video games need to go up in price because the costs are going up. If we want to keep on getting these great games, the companies need more money. So I'm fine with this. Go up to $70. Now I still want my games on sale, but the ones that I really want, I have no problem whatsoever spending $50 on. But let's just go ahead. Let's get right into The Last of Us Part 2. I recently finished, I believe, it was yesterday that I finished. And man, first of all, this is one of the most beautiful games I've ever played. Now I have a 4K with HDR, so that does help with some of the graphics, but just the details and the way how they were sharp and crisp. The game just looked fantastic. Now, here's the thing. I did have an issue with some of all the darkness in the game and the rain, but it does make sense that it was in the game because I still won't say what city it's in, but the city, it has a lot of rain. So it makes sense that there was a lot of rain in the game. Sense. And, the darkness kind of based on the genre it is, the darkness also made sense. But to me, just even though the darkness made sense in the game, I just still found I was going through too many dark areas. Yeah. So that's something I wish they could have improved it in the game a little bit more. And so far in your playthrough, is that something that you're kind of struggling with?
It really is, and for one thing, the room that I normally play video games in, my living room, it gets a lot of natural light, and that's not bragging or anything, it's just I got huge windows, so anytime there's darker areas in video games, if I'm playing during the day, I'm going to get a glare, and it's not even about, it just makes it really tough to see, and I know, you can increase the brightness. Yeah. I will say, this game has some of the best settings of any non-computer game I've ever seen in terms of accessibility, difficulty, settings, all that. So adjusting the darkness isn't that hard, but then it almost makes everything look a little washed out. You lose the shadows, you lose the depth. Yeah. But I agree that I'm using the flashlight more than I ever thought I would. I pretty much leave it on most of the time, but then you get that kind of annoying mechanic where you have to bang on the side of your controller or shake your controller to get the flashlight to come back on. So I agree, and a lot of or not a lot of it, but part of it does have to do with my own personal gaming setup. I get that. I play in a very brightly lit room during the day, so the darkness, I'm 100% with you. It bothers me a little bit too, not just in this game, but just in games in general. But I'll go ahead and tag you back in there.
Yeah, like I said, just when I see a game that beautiful, like I want to see a lot of it. And when I'm going through all these dark areas, like I said, even though it makes a lot of sense with the whole like post-apocalyptic zombies, you know, infected, whatever. Yes, it makes sense, but I just still I like to see the game. And when you go through all these dark areas, like you don't see very much, even though you have a flashlight. So just me, I just thought it was a little bit too much in the game, but you know, overall, I'm not going to it'll drop it down a couple points, I guess, but not a lot. And now here's the thing. Man, the story of this game, I don't even know how to go into this. I had a lot of issues.
Hopefully.
Like, I had a lot of issues with the story. But, like, it wasn't so much how it came together. Like, it did come together pretty good at the end. But I just think throughout the game, there was too many head-scratching moments for me. Like, why did you do that? Like, not that I'm a writer or that I know exactly how to write a game or anything like that. But there's just those moments where I was like, I don't understand exactly why they're going this direction or that direction or why this didn't happen. And I understand that each game I play, there's going to be a couple of those. So I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
But in The Last of Us, it just seemed like there was too many. And the story, like, here's the fucking crazy thing, man. I have so many issues with the story. But at the end of the day, I was like, that's one of the best stories in video games I've ever seen. It's a sentiment to, like, you know, Naughty Dog. Like, they are that great. Like, they create, like, you know, The Last of Us and Uncharted. They create great stories in their games. So I can sit here, I can bitch about all the issues I have with the story, but at the end of the day, it's still a fantastic story. And the way that they kind of closed out this chapter, like, it was beautiful. Like, I don't think they could have done, like, a more beautiful job. So just overall, I had some issues. Oh, the mechanics. The changing your guns. I wasn't a big fan of that. Like, I know I don't know if you're far enough in right now to where you have a lot of guns, but you want to kind of talk about that?
No, I've got several of the guns. Sorry, not so much several issues, but I kind of like how you can use the D-pad to so quickly switch between like your long gun, your short gun, your health kit, your Molotov cocktails, your flashbangs, all that stuff. But having to there's so limited ammo, at least so far in the game for where I'm at. And if the first The Last of Us is any indication, it's going to stay this way. You have to switch guns quite a bit. Just because you run out of ammo for your guns. So for me, like, I don't like having to okay, you go over to your pistol and then you hold square to dig into your backpack and pull out a different gun. Like, when you can't do that in the middle of a fight. And I get that that's kind of the point. It's a survival game. It's not a straight up Nathan Drake Uncharted action game. I get that. But it just makes some of the fights not impossible, obviously, because you can beat the game, but just frustrating. Where you go in, you've only got a few rounds for each of your guns, and you're constantly having to switch through. So, like, switching from, let's say, your pistol to your shotgun is easy enough. You just press right or left. You know, that's easy enough. But then if your one pistol runs out of ammo and you got to switch to another one, you got to do the whole backpack thing. And I get that adds some realism to the game. Like, it's not like Doom where you can just carry 13 guns on your back.
But that's what I want, man. That's what. Right? See, that's the realism that I can get rid of. Okay, first of all, you can't push R1 to also switch between guns, but it's not something that I use that much. But you're right. Like, I don't need that realistic aspect in a game. Like, just let me be able to switch between my weapons like a lot easier. And like exactly like you said, the whole crafting items and stuff. Like, I want the damn game to stop. It might not make sense. It might not be realistic, but damn it, if there's a monster coming after me and I gotta make some ammo, damn it, stop the game when I'm trying to craft something. Let me make my ammo, and while I'm at it, let me also get a health kit in so I can heal myself. Quit. I don't want to take that long to regenerate my health. I want it to be faster. Now, not gonna throw that against the game because that's a mechanic that a lot of games had nowadays, but damn it, I want things to slow down sometimes and make it a little bit easier on me. But the whole switching the guns thing did kind of bother me. But right now, kind of an ending on the whole, the game. Right now, I'm sitting at about an 8.5 for it, which I think is pretty good. Like, there's definitely some things that drop it down. The story, in some parts, the mechanics. We'll kind of get to the next point. I was going to say something we're going to talk about next. But overall, like, 8.5, still a fantastic game. Still one of the greatest games I think, in a long time. And like I said, I got choked up towards the end of the game. And like, I usually don't get choked up when it comes to games. So yeah, the story was head scratching in some parts, but when it all comes together, like, and at the end, like, the ending was beautiful. Like I said, it makes you choke up a little bit. So overall, it is a great game. Highly recommend it. Yes, it does have its issues, but kind of let's go back to the fucking ending and talk about something else that not only happened in The Last of Us Part 2, but I've also been experiencing in a lot of games. And Red, I want to throw this to you first. Yeah. But it's this whole concept of games just not ending. Like you get to a point where you're like, okay, the game's going to end soon. Now, it might not end right then and there, but you kind of have a feeling that it's going to end soon. And then there's like 5-6 hours after that. And it just drives me nuts because I'm like, okay, I want to get through this. I want this game to end. So is that kind of something you've been struggling with any games?
It really is. And recently, I just experienced it within the last few months with Assassin's Creed Origins. Great game. I loved it. But the ending of it, it's one of those, like, you think you beat the last guy and the game's over. But then there's something else. Then there's something else. Oh, now you're playing as a whole different character and going after someone else. Now you're trying to tie it into the rest of the franchise because Origins, it's how the whole Assassins Templars thing started. Yeah. It's like just recently with that one, like I'm part of it. Okay, it was getting kind of late. I was a little drunk and just ready to be done with the game, and it just kept going and going and going. And at some point, you're like, I don't care. I quit caring at that point, and like that's supposed to be like the climax of your whole story or of the game, where you really get the emotional payoff of the characters and the story is in that ending. But man, if you keep dragging it on so long and just keep tacking it on, eventually I'm just like, just end it. Just like, I don't care anymore. Let me see the credits so I can say I beat this game. And it kind of cracks me up because I know people, when this happens, what they always go back to is the movie Return of the King. One of the Lord of the Rings movies, because that was one of those that had like 5 false endings in it. Like they would have a scene, you're like, okay, that's got to be the end. The credits are rolling. Then they'd show another little scene and another little scene. And I know when you're talking about, a saga that's, hours upon hours upon hours long, you're nitpicking at that point. But like, that's what I feel like the analogy is. You keep thinking, oh, here's where the credits are going to roll. Nope. Here's where the credits are going to roll. And honestly, this has been an issue, I think, for a really long time, since games kind of got out of that. You can only play them in a single setting. Yeah. And I'm going to bash on, and I hate to do it. It actually breaks my heart to do it. One of my all-time favorite video games, actually my favorite video game ever, Super Mario RPG. And in that one, like you fight your way to the top of Bowser's Castle. You fight the being that invaded the Mushroom Kingdom. And I'm not spoiling anything. This game came back out in like 1995. So spoilers.
Yeah, we're not worried about spoilers on a freaking Super Nintendo game.
Exactly. But yeah, so you fight the sword that like invaded Mushroom Kingdom that set up the entire game. You beat it and you're like, okay, great. But then it sucks you into a whole nother level that you have to go through. And, it ends up having a really great ending and everything. The final boss fight is amazing. But it's kind of one of those where like, you think you're done with it. And then, nope, you got to go through a whole nother level, fight a few more bosses, and then one more big, bad final boss. And it's just, it tacks on another, hour or two or longer onto the game. So it is something I've dealt with, not just recently, but I mean, even as soon as games started going to where you could save and have more than just a single sitting, I think people just have a hard time wrapping them up. Now, I know it sounds like you've experienced this a little bit here in some more recent games. So take us through that.
I mean, that's the whole thing is you're sitting there and you're expecting the game to end. So you're like, okay, I'm going to saddle up and I'm going to finish this off. And it might be like, depending on what your concept of late at night is. Like, for me, like 11 o'clock is getting late at night. I got kids. And so this didn't happen with The Last of Us because I have learned. But like, here. Like with Death Stranding, like I was like, okay, Sunday morning, I knew I was getting close. So I was like, Sunday morning, I'm going to set it down. I'm going to beat this game. And Death Stranding is the fucking worst at this. Death Stranding goes on for like 10 fucking hours after you think you're done with the game. So that's like that's the worst of the worst of this situation. But I was sitting there on a Sunday. I was like, okay, I'm going to knock out this game, blah, 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 like in an hour or so. And man, this game just kept on going and kept on going. It's like poker. I was, what's it called? Pot committed. I was pot committed at that
You're
time.
invested at that
My
point.
wife's getting pissed off at me, and it makes sense because I'm sitting there. I'm not helping out the kids. I'm not doing anything. I got to beat this game today because I'm already invested. Like, my mindset is there. I want to do it today, and it just stretched. So there's situations in life like that, or when you're playing late at night where it just keeps on going and going and going, and you don't
we
finish
got to work
it.
tomorrow. We got to go to bed.
And you don't finish it, so you're either mad or you stay up too late playing it, and then you got to work the next day. And so they're just, to me, okay, I understand, like in a Mario game or something, like there's you think it's the ending, and then they have like one or two more levels. Okay, that takes 15, 20 minutes. But when you're stretching it out like Death Stranding, like I don't know how long it actually was.
Yeah.
But it felt like it was close to 10 hours, man. And then with The Last of Us Part 2, I thought it was going to end I was playing, I don't remember what I was playing, but I thought it was going to end, and then there was like maybe 3 hours after that, which for a linear game, that's a lot. Yeah, because I think my gameplay ended up being like 28 hours, so when you're talking about you think a game's going to end, and then it's 3 more hours of only a 28-hour game, that's a lot of, and that's a lot of time. And by that point, like, I just wanted the game to be over, and just kept on going and kept on going, and like I said, at the end, it did come together beautifully. But it took too long to get there. Like, there's just too much to get there. And, at the end, I'm just flying through. I'm not even worried about killing people. Like, I was doing a lot of stealth throughout this game because, I learned in Assassin's Creed Odyssey how valuable it is. And then playing through this game, I learned how important it was. And then at the end of the game, man, I'm just going, full on, guns up in the air, trying to shoot everybody, dying. Because
you reverted back to old Hick. You reverted back to old Hick mode there. Just guns blazing.
I'm just at that point where I just don't care anymore. I just want the game to be over. And I don't know what the developers' problems are. I don't know why they got to keep on. Okay, if you don't want to end it, exactly where people think you might end it, that's okay. But then don't have a lot after that. And, it does drop a game down. And for The Last of Us Part 2, it did drop it down a couple points in my book because the ending was just stretched out too long. I was tired of it. I wanted the game to be over. I wanted to get to the ending, which, I can't really say much about the ending. I thought it was going to end. I thought it was going to end not end, but there's a climactic point. I'm trying not to, give too much away.
Of course.
There's a climactic point where you don't think the game's going to end, but you want to see the resolution of that climactic point. And then you don't get it for 10 more hours.
Oh,
and it's just
awful.
that ending and then that part. Those are the issues that I have with The Last of Us. But anyways, we'll kind of get away with that. Developers, end your games fucking sooner, okay? I got in my mind, the game's going to end around this point, damn it. If I'm staying up late at night, let me finish the game before I go to fucking bed. Don't make me stay up late at night or go to bed pissed because I didn't finish it, damn it.
Yeah.
End your games in a reasonable amount of time when the players think that the game is supposed to be over. It's not that hard.
And that's what I got
God damn cold this week, I'm upset, man. I'm upset. But anyways.
Drink some more beer, man. You know what happens. It's like those Snickers commercials. You know how you get when you're
Here's
hungry.
something I want to talk with you about. There was one mechanic, that it kind of did do differently in The Last of Us Part 2 that I'd done from past games, and that was I did not use subtitles, which is something that I've done for every single game in the past. First, I've been talking for a while, so I want to throw it to you. Subtitles, do you use them? Do you not use them? Have you ever not? Go ahead. Just go ahead.
Well, before we move on, I will say, we've praised The Witcher 3 10 million times in this podcast. We're going to praise it 10 million more before it's all said and done. Not just this episode. I mean, all in all, it knew how to wrap up a damn game. You beat the final boss, and you got an epilogue where depending on how the game ended, you got your epilogue where you kind of run around, and it just shows kind of the resolution of some of your decisions. And it was short. That's all we need. We don't need more and more. So Witcher 3 continues to be the perfect video
Well, let me
game.
ask you this question. What did The Witcher 3 do wrong?
Oh, not much.
Exactly. So this is the greatness of The Witcher 3, but kind of go ahead and talk about the subtitles.
Sorry. Getting on to the subtitles. I know we spent a lot of time there, but I'm very, very, very hit or miss on subtitles. I usually like having them on because in some games, either you have people either with thick accents or the speaking volume is quieter than the action volume. That's a bad thing in movies for one thing. But that's a whole different story. Or just there's a lot of background noise going on while you're trying to have a conversation and you miss some of the spoken dialogue. So I usually play with subtitles on, but one thing that I've really kind of picked up on this generation, is during cutscenes, you can take such better screenshots to share with the subtitles off, because during cutscenes is some of the most beautiful, like that's when that's where you've got really good moments usually to take a good screenshot of. And if you have the subtitles on, I feel like it kind of detracts from your screenshot, or it could spoil something if you're not trying to spoil whatever.
Yeah.
So for me, this generation, I've really tried to get away from using the subtitles because I feel like I take more screenshots during cinematics, during cutscenes, than I do just in regular gameplay. And part of that depends on the game. There's some open world games where I'll stop and take a lot of pictures of beautiful, like sunrise, sunsets, ocean, all that stuff. But the cutscenes have some of the most beautiful cinematic moments in these games. So for me, I've recently tried to start playing more and more without the cutscenes because without the subtitles rather. I don't want to skip the cutscenes. But that way, like if I want to take pictures, I don't have to worry about going in later, trying to crop out or Photoshop out the subtitles, and I can just share them. So it's weird that something like that drives my behavior on the whole subtitles thing, but it really has this generation. Being able to just hit that share button and immediately tweet out or put on our PlayStation or Xbox timeline a screenshot has made me really try to stay away from subtitles. So again, it is kind of game specific, just because sometimes you are playing a game where people have thick accents, or people, the volume of their voices aren't as high as the background noise, so it's hard to hear what's going on. So it really is hit or miss, but these days I really am trying to stay away from using the subtitles. So how about you?
Okay, The Last of Us Part 2 is the first game. I don't know if I said this or not already, but like with my cold this week, you all, like my throat is kind of going out, so I got throat to red. In places where I wouldn't normally throat to red, so I'm not always able to explain stuff the way I want to. But if I didn't say, I'm saying it, now, or if I did say, I'm saying it fucking again. The Last of Us Part 2 was the first game where I did not use subtitles, and oh man, it was a game changer because it immersed me so much in the cutscenes. Like I had forgotten that I chose not to have subtitles in the very beginning, why I did that, I don't really know why I did that, because I do like to have subtitles because I do like to see what they're actually saying. In a game like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, like, it's kind of like, a Greek accent, I guess you could say, kind of like you were talking about. You can't always understand what they're saying with their accents. So, like, games like that, I do like to have the subtitles on, always like to have the subtitles on just to know kind of what's going on. It also helps me, like, if I'm reading it, it kind of helps me understand better what's going on in the game.
Yeah.
But I don't know going forward, man. Because like I said, having those subtitles off in The Last of Us, like I got so immersed in those cutscenes and like so drawn into them because I wasn't sitting there reading text the entire time. I was sitting there, I was watching the video game characters' faces, which say a shit ton during cutscenes. Like you see all those facial expressions, which The Last of Us 2, good job, Naughty Dog. Those facial expressions, you fucking nailed so many of those facial expressions in the game. So, like I said, going forward, I'm not sure what I'm going to do because I've always been a subtitle guy. But man, The Last of Us 2, it did make the experience like really just a lot better, so much more immersive. I felt like I was part of the cutscenes. Like, like I said, I wasn't sitting there reading. I felt like I was actually in them, like, in the best way. Yeah, that you can be in them. But kind of like, switching topics, like, that's not what you're supposed to do when you have a transition. But anyways,
smooth,
I have a transition here. And I'm like, hey, let's just switch up topics. No, we're talking about subtitles, and we don't know, or if I don't know if I'll go back to subtitles or not. But one thing that we do want to go back to is a topic that we missed last week, and that is a live-action Halo TV show. And Red, we're both Halo fans, but I want to throw this to you first because I've been talking for a while, and then also, I would say you are a bigger Halo fan than me, even though we're both huge fans. So I kind of want to get your reaction on this whole announcement of a live-action Halo TV show.
Before jumping too much into this particular iteration of live-action Halo, I feel like they've been producing some form of live-action Halo for about 20 years now.
Yeah.
It legitimately feels like there was going to be a full-motion movie, then a cartoon series or something, and then a TV show. And out of all that, all we've gotten so far is the the Forward Unto Dawn web series, which it was live action. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I think it was on Netflix for a little while, where I finally watched it. This has been years ago, but even that was only like maybe an hour and 10 minutes long, something like that. So I feel like they've been producing a live action Halo for as long as the whole series has been around.
You know what this sounds like? It sounds like Zelda.
Right, exactly. Hey, we need another cartoon Zelda. Speaking of such things, that's a whole different topic. Excuse me, princess.
No, that was not the cartoons. That was the CDI games, I believe.
Oh gosh,
I'm not 100% correct, but I believe that was actually. Now I'm questioning myself, man. I don't know. Move on.
Anyway, so I am like you mentioned. We are both huge Halo fans. I've loved that universe, like the whole Halo universe. I've read some of the novels that have come out of it. We've played every game, except for the Halo Wars. I don't know if you've played either of the Halo Wars games, but other than that, we've played all the first-person shooters. So I am excited. It seems like the universe lends itself well to a live-action series. I mean, it can be like you can play it as a pretty straight military, style, humans versus aliens, whatever you want to do. And there's a lot. You have a whole universe. It's just like Star Wars. You have a universe worth of stories that you could potentially explore. And obviously, they're going to focus on Master Chief, as they should. I mean, he is the star of Halo, him and Cortana. So from everything I've been hearing, and they recently had an interview with a girl from 343 Studios named Kiki Wolfkill. I think she's maybe their head of multimedia or something like that. Somebody pretty high up the chain. And she gave some additional details. It sounds like, they're wanting to tell a different Master Chief story than anything we've seen in the games and in the novels. So that opens up a whole realm of possibilities for them to approach. And so I'm very excited. I will check it out whenever it does come out. I think it's supposed to be on Showtime or Stars. I totally lost which one it is. I think it's Showtime, but I'm not 100% on that. But I'm excited for it. Will you be checking it out when it comes out?
Well, if it's on Stars or Showtime, I might not be checking it out. But, I want to sit here and I want to say, yeah, but I still need to watch The Witcher. Like I started, I got like 3 or 4 episodes in. It's probably been too long, so now I'm going to have to go back and watch the first 3 or 4 episodes again.
You should.
Which I probably won't. I probably won't do that. So I'll knock out The Witcher at some point. Will I watch it? It falls into that whole. There's so much going on in life, man. Like I said, I haven't even watched The Witcher yet, and so will I watch it? Yeah, it'll probably be on my radar. Like if it's on Showtime or Stars, I don't know. Like depending on how much
makes it tougher.
Because we've not talked about it on this podcast. Probably, maybe we have. I don't know. But there's so many damn subscriptions that you have nowadays.
There are. It's bad now.
Yeah, you got this one, you got that one. So another one, yeah. Well, it might only be like $10, $10 to $15. It's still another subscription that I really don't need. So I am excited about this. It probably won't be something I check out at the beginning. I'll probably see maybe what the reviews are for it.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Maybe it'll come out like, on Netflix or Hulu or Microsoft will probably start their own video streaming because that's what everybody else is doing. NBC, ABC, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, they all just got their own damn service now. So, if I don't see it on Showtime or Stars, I'll just wait for Microsoft to drop their new one, and then I'll have to pay for that one because they're like, oh, we're going to do a bunch of shows on some of our video game characters, which isn't that much because you don't do enough exclusives, Xbox. You said that you have like 1 or 2 damn exclusives. I don't know how we got here. Wow, I don't know how we got here, but now
you've gone off on a tangent.
Man,
here.
Microsoft pisses me off.
Hey,
like
July 23rd, we're supposed to get a look at some new exclusives. July 23rd is their showcase.
Okay, we'll see.
Fingers crossed.
We'll see what happens. But as far as this, we'll kind of get off of it. But I'll probably not check it out at the beginning. I will keep an eye on it. Then I'll probably talk to you about it, see what your opinions are, and then I'll kind of check it out from there. But kind of like so Microsoft. They've been kind of investing in their video game market, obviously, with, Halo and Master Chief taking him to, live TV show. Yep. So kind of what's Sony been up to? Have they been doing anything? Red, why don't you tell us what Sony's been up to lately?
Well, they recently did some investing. Nothing wrong with that. I support that. But they dumped $250 million into Epic, who, if you're listening to this podcast, you probably know, A, Epic makes the Unreal Engine, B, Epic runs Fortnite. So Epic is basically printing money. Mm-hmm. So the $250 million, first of all, okay, that sounds like a huge amount of money up front. I was reading an article. Epic's last valuation was over $17 billion. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, $250 million is, don't get me wrong, a good chunk of money. But I think the number was, it was like only 1.5% stake. Yeah. Is what they bought. So when we talk about getting a minority stake, they got a minority stake. It actually brought up an interesting, and this is, I'm kind of going off on a bit of a tangent here, but it brought up an interesting point. We're getting into finances now. I guess the Chinese company Tencent invested something like $300 million in Epic back, but when it was only worth like $1 billion. So that $300 million for them is now worth a shit ton more.
Yeah, I read it. I didn't read into them, but I did see that name and knew that they were like, involved somehow.
Yeah, they got in early, and that's a good lesson for you guys. Get in on the ground floor on something you potentially believe in, because, hey, next thing you know, it might be worth $17 billion.
But you got to be smart if you do it.
But anyway, so I am kind of excited about this. Obviously, Epic, with the Unreal Engine, they have agreements with every video game company. I mean, because so many people license that engine to make their games. And that's why, I mean, I don't think you'll ever see like Sony and Epic like in bed in terms of exclusives and things like that. Even though I will say Epic chose the PlayStation 5 to show up the newest version of the Unreal Engine not that long ago. So I think that may have been maybe part of the investment deal. I'm not 100% sure, because people were pretty impressed with it. It got people talking about the PS5 and its capabilities. But anyway, so I'm kind of excited to see where this goes. And I tweeted this out when I first read this news. I promise I'll eventually let you talk too. But I had two reactions, because one of the statements they made is that they're trying to make this kind of convergence between video games, music, and TV and movies. And of course, Sony's got a hand in all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So,
but there's also that saying, like, stay in your lane. Like, yeah, it works out sometimes.
Yeah.
And then you have like Google Stadia,
Exactly.
I got to throw my Google Stadia. I haven't bashed on Google Stadia in a while, so I had to throw my shot in there.
You got to kick that dog every now and then.
Yep.
But it seemed like Fortnite has been used to, like, people have done these quote unquote live concerts on there. You've seen tie-ins with movies and TV before, whether it was skins, trailers, announcements. Like, Fortnite does a great job of making events. Like, even though you're supposed to be in there killing each other in a battle royale, like, they make events. And so I get Sony wanting to get in there and try to, drum up interest in their TV properties, their music properties, their movie properties, using something like Fortnite to get there. So from that standpoint, I get it. But when I hear this idea of convergence between video games, TV, and music, I mean, us. We are not Fortnite people. I don't want a damn convergence of these things. I like my movies and TV over here. I like my music over here. And I like my video games over here. Like, that to me, I don't want all this stuff commingled. But the one thing, and I swear, I promise, again, I will let you talk. One thing, I did play the game Quantum Break not that long ago. And it was an interesting experiment by the same people who made Control, and they made Alan Wake before that, but where they had actual TV episodes in between chapters of the game. Yeah. So you'd play like a couple hour segment of the game, and there would be a 30-minute TV episode. And they filmed several different scenarios depending on choices you made in the game. And the TV episode you got, or like little details, the big overarching stuff stayed the same, but little details changed depending on what you did in the game itself. And I actually enjoyed that experience. I liked getting to the TV segments, the TV episode segments, and seeing, and like trying to catch where things you did in the game had some kind of effect on the TV story. So my initial thought is, yes, keep all this shit separate. I don't want Fortnite being where music drops and TV trailers and movie trailers debut. Like, keep that shit separate. But I'm like, on the other hand, like, Quantum Break was an interesting experiment. So anyway, I will finally shut up. I need a drink of my beer. What do you think of this investment from Sony?
I mean, I like it, but as you said, it's so low of a minority stake in the company.
Oh, yeah.
So, Epic's not going to be sitting there like, oh, Sony, we got to do something with them, because the valuation, like the percentages of how much of a stake they have is so low. So I think this is kind of just hey, we got to compete with Microsoft. That's what, there's probably more to it. But I think a lot of it is like, hey, we got to compete with Microsoft. We don't want you to be with Microsoft. So, hey, we're going to invest in, like, with you, kind of set some things up between each other. And, I'm okay with it. I like it. Now, here's what I want to happen. I want it to happen like Sony and Nintendo happened, like, way back in the 90s. I want Epic Games. Like, I want something to happen, and Epic Games get really pissed off and go, what, screw you, Sony. We're going to make our own console. And then with that console, they put Unreal Engine in it, and they just have these spectacular games. So, I'm kind of hoping that, hey, a new console, although we don't, I'm already having enough time buying 3 consoles.
Right.
But you know what? One with Unreal Engine, like, I wouldn't mind. So, that's not going to happen. That's just wishful thinking. But it would be awesome if it did happen. But overall, my opinions are, it's an investment. Like, it's investment. It's a way to compete with Microsoft. Obviously Epic Games, they're doing spectacular with Unreal Engine, Fortnite. They also have Gears of War, and they have that PC gaming store, which is keeping up with Steam, which is also saying something right there.
Epic Game Store is hugely
Epic
popular.
Game Stores because it's just so simple. Instead of having 25,000 free games like Steam has, they have like one or two. So
but they're big name games usually. They're big name games.
Well, they have some of those not exclusives, but I know Control. I believe Outer Worlds were two games that were on Epic before they were on Steam. So, they're doing great things. Partnership, hey, I honestly don't think I think something's going to come out of it, but I don't think a lot's going to come out of it. They're not going, like I said, they're too low of a minority stake for Epic to put a huge priority on them.
Yeah.
So, you're going to see some things here and there, but for the most part, I don't think you're going to see too much about it. But, talking about investing a lot of money into something, there's this dipshit out there. Now, we're not going to go too hard on because there was one reason that is kind of touching for what he did it, but we're going to go at him a little. We're going to go at him a little bit, but there's this dipshit that spent all his university savings on loot boxes for FIFA. And we've talked about this, loot boxes a little bit. We're going to talk about it more now, but we kind of already gave you our opinions on loot boxes.
Yeah.
It might not be gambling by definition, but it's pretty much gambling. But Ray, I want to kind of throw back to you on this one. Kind of what your whole, I don't know how much you read into this guy, but basically bought a ton of loot boxes, spent all his university savings. Just what are your opinions on this story?
I'm sitting here with my hand in my head in my hand, oh my God, don't get me wrong, I spend a lot of money on video games. But you know what? I spend money buying a fucking video game, not gambling to get some kind of in-game reward. It blows my mind. It really does. I'm anti-loot box in general not because it's gambling, whatever. I like going to casino. You like going to casino, whatever. It's fun. I'm pro gambling, but at least on that one, there's a chance you'll get a monetary reward on the other end.
Exactly.
With fucking loot boxes, you're literally spending money to get some kind of in-game item that has zero actual monetary value.
Yeah.
It's fucking stupid. And it's even worse when those loot boxes actually give you things that give you a benefit over other players, because that is a game saying you have to spend money to get the best items. You have to spend money to get better perks. Now, if you want to do skins, cosmetic stuff, different outfits, whatever, go nuts. But that wasn't the way it was. Fucking loot box. And I think FIFA, and I'm not 100% on this because I don't play a lot of online or anything like that. Don't they have the ultimate team or whatever they call it, where you're trying to basically get the best players?
Really for FIFA, that's what these loot boxes are. I don't know exactly what they are, but you get players. You might get more, but I know one of them is you get players, and then you can add them to this ultimate team, and then you can compete with those players. And I think what this guy was trying to do was build the ultimate team, like Ronaldo, Pele, Ronaldinho, or whatever his name is, all the great Messi, all the great ones. I think he was trying to get all those, and the chances of probably getting one of those players, I would think, is very, very small, and just I guess spent a ton of money on it. So it's just if you want to spend money on loot boxes and get it's basically. Well, it's kind of I guess the way that I read it was it's kind of like trading cards. I guess there's loot boxes for FIFA. You get these trading cards, and then you can actually play with those players. So it's basically you buy a pack of cards, you see what you get. But if you ever buy a pack of cards, you don't get shit usually.
Yeah.
And so there's no value in it. There's value. You can't get money from cards, but there's not any money for these loot boxes. I guess unless you're competing online and making money from gaming, that's the only way there's a monetary value on the other end of this. So here's why we're not gonna go too hard on the guy. He did use this as a coping mechanism when his mother got cancer. Now I think he had this problem beforehand, and then it got a little bit worse when his mother got cancer. So we're not gonna go too hard, but this is stupid. This is spending a little bit of money, on some loot boxes to try to get some things, okay. But to spend your whole your university savings, which I don't know how much but that was, but I'm guessing if you're saving for university, it's in the thousands. Because university, college is expensive. So
hell yeah, it is.
To blow through this much money on just to get players for a game,
for a video game, for a fucking video game,
absolutely ridiculous. And here's my thing: if you want a gambling fix, do the figurine quest in Minish Cap. Like that is a gambling addiction because like the odds of getting like cause I think there's like 130 of them. As you get like, more and more, the chances of getting what you actually want are less and less. Like the odds are really against you. So if you want to fix a gambling addiction, do the figurine quest in Zelda the Minish Cap, and it will cure that addiction, at least for a little while. But I don't know, man. I just saw this, and it's kind of like your reaction was. You just kind of sigh. You're just like, man, I mean, come on. This is getting ridiculous. And a company, like I know that they clarified it as not being gambling, but like if you're EA,
it's bullshit.
I mean, come on, man.
People are spending money for a chance at a good reward. And I think they get around it being gambling because they're like, every loot crate gives you something at least, or loot box, sorry. Like you get something at least. But yeah, you want those rare, unique items. You want the, the top of the line. Like for FIFA, the best players. I think it was Battlefront. Like I said, Battlefront 2 was the one that got in so much trouble, the Star Wars game for it. Yeah. And it's like, you want the best perks and the best items, the best heroes. I mean, it's fucking gambling. And, if you want to do that, go to the damn casino. Just don't get addicted.
Yeah. Learn how to play blackjack. Red and I go to the casino. I like to go a lot more. I don't make it very often. We make it like once or twice a year, maybe. Yeah, but I would like to make it more. But, learn how to play blackjack. And if you know how to play blackjack, you can win some good money. So do that instead.
So, and unfortunately, we got to keep talking about some bad issues.
We're not going to have time for that one.
Oh, shoot. I just realized. Oh, God.
Because I was going to go on about that one for a little while, so we probably should save that for the next one.
Well, then let's go ahead and wrap it up. First of all the links for everything we're going to talk about here are down in the description. I can't talk. Good thing we're wrapping this up. All the links are in the description for this podcast. If you really like us, you can support us on Patreon or PayPal. Patreon is kind of like a recurring thing. PayPal is more of a one-time payment. Obviously, if you can't support us financially, which it's hard times, I 100% get that, or maybe you just don't like us that much. Either way, go ahead, review us, rate us, click that 5 stars. Even if you hated us, we'll appreciate it if you lie and say you really liked us. So go ahead and review us and rate us on these websites. Give us our 5 stars, write a review. And also, we have a few merchandise websites out there. We have tgpzgaming.com and 2guysplayingzelda.com. On 2 Guys Playing Zelda, obviously, we have Zelda-related merchandise. On TGPZ Gaming, we have just all kinds of video game merchandise. We may earn a little bit of a commission on that affiliate sales program. But how about you tell us a little bit there, Hick, about where we can find us on social media?
Yeah, we're everywhere, really. We got 2 Facebook groups, Gaming Realm and Zelda Realm. Gaming Realm is really going nuts. I believe we were like at 6,000 like 2 weeks ago. We're already at like 8,200 members. So that one is growing like crazy. So if you're a Zelda fan, definitely check out Zelda Realm. But if you're a video game, go join Gaming Realm. It's really popping off. We got 2 YouTube channels. One for TGPC Gaming. Really just put our podcast on there. Nothing too big. Our 2 Guys Playing Zelda YouTube channel. That one we have over 10,000 subscribers. So we got a lot of activity, a lot of videos. So if you're a Zelda fan, highly recommend you check out 2 Guys Playing Zelda on YouTube. We got Discord channel, Discord server, where we talk all video game, PlayStation, Microsoft, Nintendo. And we also PC gaming. And we also talk some alcohol, some sports, which is really just soccer. We talk a lot of soccer. But definitely go check that out. We have a blast over there. And then you can find us on all the social media. Well, not all of them, but a lot of them. Most Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We also got some pages on Facebook. So definitely check those out. But anyways, that wraps up this episode. And we will see you on the next episode. Keep on gaming.